So occasionally I tell people I carry a gospel in my pocket. And I'm not talking about a gospel tract, but I'm talking about these 2 coins in my pocket. My clicker does not seem to be working here. I would picture, okay. The coins, sorry. These 2 coins that I carry in my pocket is the gospel. The 1 coin is 99.9% pure silver round. Its dollar value is about $17.50. The other coin is, as you can see, it's the remains of a 1928 silver dollar. And it's so thin that the value on that's probably about $9 or $10. So if you were to pick my pocket, which of these 2 coins would you rather get? Well, you'd probably want to get the pure silver round, right? It's worth more. But I wouldn't sell you that old silver dollar for $17.50 or for $1,700 because, see, my dad carried that old silver dollar in his pocket all his adult life. I don't remember when he didn't have it, and even in his last days, he could hardly remember anything, names included, but he always remembered to put that silver dollar in his pocket. He was a little agitated if he didn't have it. So, for sentimental reasons of my own, I place a great value on that thin, worn-out old silver dollar. It's probably not rational, but that's my value versus your value. Our values are going to be different. Everybody has a different value. Our values would be different still if we were to be stranded on a deserted island. Even the pure silver round wouldn't have a lot of value if there was nobody there from whom you could buy food that you could trade your silver dollar with. See, values change from time to time, person to person, circumstance to circumstance. Now, this is the important part here. Things don't have value unless we assign value to them. Things and activities have the value that we assign to them by the actions we take to obtain them, by the time we spend in doing them. In economic terms, this is called imputation, and it's something we do all day long, every day, valuing things. The things that we're doing at the moment is arguably our highest value at that moment. You are all imputing great value to this conference by being here. Now, this idea of imputation shouldn't be new to a Christian. Speaking of Abraham, Genesis said, "And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness." That word, counted, also means imputed. God imputed righteousness to Abraham because of Abraham's faith in what God had told him. And so here's the big takeaway about imputation. As we just talked about, we understand it because we're doing it all day long, day in and day out. But in the case of Abraham's salvation, in the case of anybody's salvation, the imputation that's going on is from God to us. God is imputing Christ's righteousness to you, to me. We are so self-centered, we don't think in those terms. But God is right there. He's active. He's acting. He's valuing you with Christ's salvation. He's imputing. And if that doesn't make your spine tingle, there are a couple of pastors out here, maybe a lot of pastors out here, who want to talk to you sometime this weekend. So point one is made. Value is subjective. It's imputed by somebody. It's imputed to things differently by everyone. Let's relate this now to money. Topic here is sound money. Money develops because people are good at different things. Let's say I'm good at making harmonicas and you're good at growing wheat. How do I eat if you don't want harmonicas? If I can't barter my harmonicas with you for wheat, how do I eat? Well, the solution to that would be for me to trade my harmonicas for something that you did want, and then trade that with you for the wheat. That in-between thing is what we would call a medium of exchange, that it's in between, it's medium. And that's often used as a definition for money. The most desirable commodity in a society, in an economy, the thing that everybody wants to get their hands on, is that item that we call money. We each produce what we do best, what we want to do, and we trade it for that most desirable commodity. Let's say we used gold as our money. How much gold do I trade for my harmonicas? Well, it depends on the value that I impute to harmonicas and the value that I impute to the gold. How about wheat? Well, it works the same way. Could be different tomorrow, depending on if I just ate. It could be different for you. But by our use of gold as the medium of exchange, that go-between thing, I'm relieved of having to find a wheat farmer who wants harmonicas. You get to do what you do best, and I get to do what I do best. Doing our own best thing is what the division of labor is all about. And that's, the division of labor promotes creativity and invention, a diversity of goods, and money greases the wheels for the division of labor. But why are precious metals money? Why did we decide that? Well, it just sort of happened. As a matter of fact, it's happened so often in history that it's really hard to argue that God didn't put gold here for just that reason. It's mentioned in the creation account. Right there you see it. The gold of that land is good. God had money in mind from the beginning. But why? Well, money is useful in society. What I said a moment ago about silver not having any value on a deserted island speaks to that point. There's nobody there to trade with, to buy food from. So you didn't need money. There's no exchange, no society. There's no need for money. Adam didn't need money in the garden. But we do live in society. And God created money because it promotes that invention and innovation, specialization that we talked about. Hey, I want one of those. It's novel. You go to that person, you take your money, you buy it, you spend, you interact. And it's that interaction with others that as we as Christians, as we interact with others, it works to roll back the curse. It promotes that social interaction. It should serve, commerce serves to roll back the curse and advance the kingdom. Now, most people agree that money has the following attributes. It's scarce, it's divisible, it's transferable or portable, it's durable, and it holds its value over time. Now, other commodities have been used in history in many economies as a monetary commodity, but precious metals have fulfilled these roles from the very beginning. And yet, the paper in your pocket is what you likely think of as money. Why? Paper isn't scarce. It's not durable. It certainly hasn't held its value. We see, historically, people don't like to lug around gold and silver. Yes, it's desirable, they want it, but it's inconvenient. It's heavy, it's noisy. So they stored their money with somebody who had a safe place. Let's call it a bank. And they got a receipt or a note for that, stating that their money was on deposit and could be retrieved when the note was turned in. It became much easier to trade the paper than to use the coins. So notes came to be seen as money. Even though they only represented money, paper came to be seen as money when it represented the real thing. If you look at a bill in your pocket, you'll see it still says note on it, Federal Reserve note. Technically, it's currency, a word derived from other words that mean in circulation or flowing, like the current of a stream, it flows. Money flows in an economy. And paper notes, they flow, they circulate, they trade very freely. It makes them a very useful medium of exchange. It's true not just of notes, but it's true of checks and debit cards and credit cards. They're all money in a medium of exchange kind of way. And why are they money? Well, they're money because we impute value to them as we spend them. We impute value to them as we receive them. We have faith that these things are money. and that other people see it the same way. We have faith that the grocer will take them in exchange for food, and the harmonica maker will take them for harmonicas, and so on. Value and imputation and faith are Christian and economic ideas that are so tightly intertwined. So point 2 is made that money is the most desirable commodity in any economy. It's usually precious metals, and currency represents money. So what happened to it? Why is it confusing? Why do we say that Federal Reserve notes are not honest money? Well, we just described how currency came to be seen as money. It represented real money stored someplace. But we all know that's not true any longer. There are no drawers at your bank with your name on it with gold and silver coins in them. There are no drawers at the Federal Reserve. So why does the economy still function? Why does currency still work? Well, we've already said it. It's faith. We believe that a $5 note will buy more or less what it bought yesterday and what it'll buy tomorrow. The transactions are frictionless. The store will accept your $5 note without question. And yet we're still vaguely aware that something's amiss because that $5 note doesn't buy what it bought 10 years ago or 30 years ago because of inflation. What is inflation? How does that work? Well, let's try a little thought experiment. Let's pretend that your gold coins are in your drawer at the bank and you have notes in your pocket that say so. The grocer, remember, will take that note gladly because he knows he can go to the bank and collect the coins by turning in the note. Now let's imagine that the bank directors start to issue to themselves notes that don't have any coins in any drawers. And they start to spend them into the local economy. They're inflating the supply of currency. Inflation. Their vendors, the merchants, don't know that this is fraudulent money. Now there's more currency floating around in your economy. It's a little bit easier to come by currency, so you don't mind spending a little bit more on the things that you want. And so it goes until an equilibrium is reached between the supply of available goods and the inflated supply of currency. But that's fraud, you'd say. They're stealing. And you'd be exactly right. Those with the authority to prosecute fraud should round up those bankers and punish them. They should put them away. They should get restitution for their passing off the notes as if they truly represented money. But if they don't, that doesn't happen. The fraud goes on every day because those with the authority to prosecute the fraud are the ones issuing the notes. It's the state. It's easier than taxing you because most people don't understand the inflation. Yes, they're stealing by inflation, but it goes on and on. It's why the state always wants to monopolize the production of money. Try to imagine money that doesn't have a state stamp on it. We've been brainwashed. Isaiah warned this: your silver has become dross, your wine mixed with water. The wine's being inflated. Isaiah was condemning the rulers and the people for accepting inflation and cheating as a way of life. In Scripture, dross, which is an impurity, always represents sin, and when we accept it, we're in trouble. God expects his people to enforce honest weights and measures, and when the state becomes the cheater or the protector of the cheater, then you have abomination on public display. And yet, we love inflation because it allows us to pay back our debts with money that's worth less and less over time. Because of inflation, we tend to think it's going to be easier to get money tomorrow than it is today. Inflation encourages debt. But we forget, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Meaning, debt is an instrument of conquest. A culture of debt has a present time orientation. You know, I want it now. I'm going to borrow from the future because I want it now. And being so focused on the now puts us in debt and subjugates us to those with patience. There's a relationship between our debased currency, look at recent inflated prices, morally corrupt government, look at DC, and moral degeneracy as a nation. And I hate to say it, but we can look in a mirror. So point 3 is made: as inflation corrupts money, it displays the underlying immorality of the people and the nation. Only a moral people will avoid inflation. And what's more, this is really important, inflation attacks the integrity of money itself. It's very dangerous to flirt with destroying the integrity of money. All our division of labor depends upon trustworthy money. It depends on the faith that we impute to the money. Remember, value and imputation and faith. If you lose faith in money, you won't take it, and nobody else will. How are you going to buy wheat? How are we going to pay the trucker to bring it to market? There are many historical examples of monies becoming worthless, most of them related to government interference. But to prove the point, let's consider this well-known biblical account when Joseph had stored up grain in Egypt. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth." The people were pointing out that wheat was truly more valuable as a commodity than gold and silver. The monetary commodity had failed. There's no inherent value to money. So quick point 4, inflation is not benign because it attacks money's soundness. The integrity of money is basic to commerce and rolling back the curse. So we may live in a now culture, but our God is interested in the future, and sound money is the basis of a stable economy. It allows for the invention and innovation discovery we talked about. More commerce means more social interaction, more opportunity for evangelism and loving our neighbors, rolling back the curse, a virtuous cycle. There's an opportunity in this problem. After all, there's nothing inherently wrong with money. Yes, love of money is bad. We can't serve mammon and God. Fraud is bad. We can't mix our wine with water. But money itself is good. The gold of that land is good. Money promotes the social interaction. The opportunity is that our solution lies in the Bible, where we look to God's law for answers. Honest and fraud-free monetary systems can be and eventually will be developed, and it'll have these characteristics. Standard weights and measures. We will punish fraud. There will be no fractional reserve banking. There won't be any empty drawers at the bank. Competitive entry into the banking business will be allowed. No government monopolies on money and banking. There'll be no legal tender laws requiring you to accept fraudulent notes. History shows us that the state can't be trusted with a monopoly on money. It's always misuses it by means of debasement and default. And even a state-imposed gold standard wouldn't work because the state's in charge and they'll change the rules when it's to their advantage. The state is supposed to be God's minister of good to society by wielding the sword, punishing evildoers. In the case of money, instead of protecting and promoting the fraud, the state should round up the fraudsters and punish them for promoting dishonest weights and measures. And we should demand that as God's people. So that's our last point. There's no more reason to believe that the state should monopolize the production of money than that they should monopolize the production of food. Nothing magic about money. As we've talked about, it's the most marketable commodity in an economy. But a market should be free to establish what that is, and not the state. When individuals decide what their money is going to be and what they're happy with, then we'll have honest money. The biblical case for freedom in money is the same as the biblical case for freedom in general. We're intended to be a self-governing people, a people governed internally according to God's law. So quick circle back to the idea of the gospel in your pocket. When you look in your pocket, you have some money there. Yes, it has a value. It has the value that you impute to it. And I hope this idea of imputation is stuck in your head, and that you'll understand and remember that God is in the imputing business. He imputes to you the infinite value of Christ. It can't be inflated away. It's final, and it's great news. Thank you.